Tato katoa, good evening. We'll teach the basics brilliantly. That's National's promise to parents as it kicks off the education election battle. It wants an hour of maths, an hour of reading and an hour of writing each day to be mandatory for primary and intermediate children. It'll rewrite the curriculum, dictating what must be taught each year, but will create a resource bank so teachers can share lesson plans. And here's the bit teachers won't like. It wants to return to standardised tests twice a year. Just don't call them national standards. But to make up for the extra marking, it'll scrap teachers' registration fees at a cost of $10 million. Here's political reporter Amelia Wade with how the education sector graded the policy.
Who let the dogs out?
Who let an election policy out? The National Party did.
How good was that?
Christopher Luxon wants to take a red pen to the curriculum.
What do you think you've learned about Auntie Armadillo?
And rewrite it.
We're focused on making sure we teach the basics brilliantly.
He wants to do that by telling teachers what to teach for every year group.
So you've got to read the story.
And make sure reading, writing and maths are each taught for an hour each day.
It's not about turning the whole thing upside down, it's making sure we build on what's there.
We have had dropping learning results, and one of those things that has been causing that is the constant rejig of education.
National wants to take schooling old school by testing kids twice a year.
Do you guys want to be doing more tests?
Yeah.
Do you guys like
Yes. Yeah, kind of. It's a bit challenging, but it's a bit fun too.
But the nationally standardised tests are not a synonym for the old national standards.
How is that not national standards?
Well, look, what we're doing here is we're making sure that we are focused on that each and every individualised child, we understand their progress against a really well-defined curriculum.
What we're seeing does look a lot like national standards, just in a different jacket.
Making sure that there is good, regular, robust, standardised progression assessment.
National's plan
I want to be a comedian.
A comedian?
would be funny if it wasn't so damaging, says the Education Minister.
I was in the sector when national standards were in place. The damage it did was just immeasurable.
One of the things that we saw in national standards was that there was this a tendency to teach to the test, but under the tool that we want to use, that won't be possible.
But National says something must be done about falling education levels.
At the moment is a very, very loose curriculum that's basically finger in the wind, deciding what they teach next week or tomorrow.
Education entering the election arena.
Well, Amelia joins us now. Kia ora, Amelia. Why this policy and why now?
It is absolutely no coincidence that the Nats decided to launch an education policy in Upper Hutt. That is Chris Hipkins' beloved former portfolio in his beloved home turf. At the moment, Chris Hipkins is far more personally popular than Chris Luxon, so National strategy is going to be to undermine Hipkins' record as 5 years as Education Minister and blame him for falling national standards in achievement, though in fairness they have been falling for decades. This policy sounds snappy and it's easily digestible, but there are still a lot of holes, like the cost. It may cost $10 million to set up a resource bank for teachers, but rolling out the $10 million to scrap teachers' registration fees, but rolling out the entire resource bank for teachers won't come cheap. But make no mistake, this policy announcement today were shots fired directly across Chris Hipkins' bow.
Amelia, tēnā koe.